I can't take this anymore. We can't take this anymore. The fandom is starving and absolutely starving for real information we can actually sink our teeth into. Avatar Studios took to the stage at CinemaCon on Thursday and officially dropped the first real details about the upcoming animated film featuring the original Aang gang. That was really weird. Aang gang? Whatever, we're gonna roll with it. And while the news is huge, I'll be honest with you, it's also left me feeling a little overwhelmed. So let's break it down. So first up, we have a title, The Legend of Aang, The Last Airbender. I'll say that again. The Legend of Aang, The Last Airbender. And yeah, I have some thoughts on that, but we'll come back to it. We also got a reaffirmation to the main cast as well as a new casting, and this is where things start to get a little interesting. Eric Nam will be voicing Aang. If you don't know him, Eric is a Korean-American singer, songwriter, and actor with a huge international following, mostly in K-pop. He is charismatic, thoughtful, and has a ton of personality, so this could actually be a really good casting choice. But the pressure is real. Aang is such an iconic and emotional role, and if Nam can bring that same heart to the role that he's known for in his music and public persona, we could be in good hands. Jessica Madden is our new Katara, and Roman Zaragoza will be voicing Sokka. Dion Kwan, who is actually blind in real life, is stepping in as Toph. And Dave Bautista is confirmed to be playing the villain, which could be really fun depending on who he is playing. Now, all those castings are pretty old. We've known about that for, I want to say, almost a year now. The new casting is actually Steven Yeun, whose role wasn't announced. So here's where the speculation kicks in. Yoon did voice Avatar Wan in The Legend of Korra, but having Wan show up in this timeline doesn't really make sense. His existence was supposed to be completely forgotten until Korra's timeline. So the more likely theory, that Yoon might be voicing Zuko, which is kind of a weird choice. Originally, we all suspected that Dante Bosco to return as adult Zuko. He was rumored, and let's not forget, he already voiced General Iroh II in Korra, who was an adult. So clearly, he could pull off an older version of the voice. In fact, I always thought that Iroh II sounded exactly like Zuko, which was kind of jarring. So now swapping Dante out completely for Yoon feels like a strange pivot, especially when Dante is still active, involved in the fandom with the Braving the Elements podcast, and honestly, is Zuko to many of us. Now, of course, like I said, this is just speculation, but if this casting choice is true, I'm hoping there's a good creative reason behind it, because right now, it's raising more eyebrows than hype. Now, let's talk about where this movie fits in time. We all know it follows Aang, Katara, Sokka, Toph, and Zuko in their late 20s to early 30s. That's older than previous rumors suggested, and it opens the door for a lot of interesting possibilities. This could be during the founding of Republic City or shortly thereafter. We don't have official confirmation on exactly when construction began, but it's likely already underway by this point in the timeline. That could mean early tensions between nations, new power structures forming, and possibly the very beginning of the United Republic as an idea becoming a reality. And since Aang and Katara are likely married at this point, we could see baby Bumi or even Kaya already born. And if the timeline is right, Tenzin might be on the way, which would be a very powerful story beat, because the moment Aang realizes he might not be the last Airbender anymore, that could make sense. That's huge, emotional, and exactly the kind of storytelling this movie should lean into, which opens up a powerful potential moment, Aang no longer being the last Airbender. If the story leans into that, if we see Aang preparing to pass that legacy on, it could be one of the most emotional and meaningful parts of the film. But all of that is speculation, because here's the truth. We're 9 months away from the movie's release, and we've seen no footage, no teaser, no images, not even a logo was shown to the public. It was shown privately at CinemaCon, but not to us, the fans. And that's not a great sign. Yes, they have revealed the logo behind closed doors at CinemaCon, but the fact that they didn't show anything to the fans, not even a teaser image, is a missed opportunity, and a weird one at that, considering they just announced that production wrapped last week. For most animation films, you'd have a teaser 9 to 12 months out. Studios like Pixar, DreamWorks, even Netflix start pushing visuals pretty early. And here we are, with a January release date and not a single frame. Just look at the new Spider-Verse movie coming in 2027, which was also announced at CinemaCon. We got screenshots for that, but nothing from Avatar. It doesn't inspire confidence. If you're 9 months out and just now finishing production with no teaser, no promotional materials, and a title that feels like it was assembled from leftovers, The Legend of Aang, The Last Airbender, really? Then yeah, I'm concerned. The title feels so uninspired. For anyone outside the US, The Legend of Aang was already the title of the show. The Last Airbender is the US version. combining them doesn't tell us anything new. It doesn't set a tone or hint at the story. It feels like branding, not storytelling. Unless, of course, we are talking about maybe Tenzin coming into the fold as, potentially the not the last Airbender anymore, making Aang not the last Airbender. And then there is the release date mess. And we've seen 3 different dates. January 20th, the one media outlets are currently running with, even though that's a Tuesday, which is almost never used for major releases, or at least theatrical releases. January 22nd, listed on the Australian site, which is a Thursday, which makes a little bit more sense because sometimes some movies do come out a day early, because usually it's Friday that is the release date for movies. So January 30th is the last date that we have rumored, and it's the one that makes the most sense to me. It's the original date reported months ago, and it just makes sense for movies because movies come out on Friday, and that's always been the case for movies. Unless Avatar Studios gives us something official soon, the calendar is just confusing. Personally, I'm still betting on the 30th. So yeah, it's a bit of a mixed bag. The cast has promised the timeline could be fascinating, but between the title, the silence on visuals, the lack of clarity on casting, and the messy rollout, we're not off to the strongest start. But hey, that's just me. What do you think? Are you excited about the movie? Worried like I am? Do you think Steven Yeun is actually voicing Zuko? And how do you feel about the title? Hype? Meh? Somewhere in between? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, peace, love, and remember, be water, my friends.